All right, we're off and running on the Krueger Show. Hope everybody's having a good day. We're going to talk a little Niners. Raj from RSF Niners is in the house. Good to see everybody. I'll be in Santa Clara tomorrow for the mini camp as the players hit the field for the first time. Today they spoke for the first time. We're going to let you hear some of that, courtesy of NBC Sports Bay Area. But first, we are brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out of barbecue. So go say hi to Damon and Mary. Get the brisket chili, the pulled pork. It's all amazing. I always like get a little potato salad, maybe a little root beer, a little side of root beer. They get some nice root beer there. Go say hi to Damon and Mary. Tell them the Krug sent you. Can't go wrong with some authentic barbecue. And they've been a sponsor of the Krug Show for a while now, Raj. It's funny. I get people sending me pictures. We're from Iowa. We watch you on YouTube, and we're out in front of Pig and a Pickle, and here we are. I mean, it's amazing. Maybe it's the name Pig and a Pickle, but it's people are always sending me pictures of them at Pig and a Pickle saying, I love this barbecue. So love it. Love to see it. Appreciate all of you guys checking out Pig and a Pickle. What's going on, Raj? How's your day going, man?
Good, busy as always, but I love the pig in a pickle. I love that people send you pictures. It's always cool to get that. And your reach is pretty good, and I feel like that's a pretty cool thing. When they go, they think of Larry when they're eating that pig in a pickle barbecue.
Right.
I'm doing good though. Yeah, overall.
They're not sending me nude photos, but they're sending me themselves and their wives or girlfriends standing in front of Pig in a Pickle, either just having eaten barbecue or on the verge of eating barbecue, and it makes me happy every time. I always forward it to the owner too. I'm like, hey, look. He's like, I saw that guy. He was asking about you. All right. Well, today the rookies, came to the city. They were put through their paces and probably signed their agreements. I believe one of the headlines of today is the Niners signed Renardo Green, Isaac Guerendo, and Jacob Cowing to their 1-year rookie deals.
4-year rookie deals.
Or just to their 4-year rookie deals. What do you think of those three guys? Who's your favorite? What do you like out of that trio?
Out of that trio, I actually a great trio, but my favorite of them all of those three was Renardo Green. He was my favorite of the whole draft class. Like I love the guy. Overall, great draft class. But those three good signings. But I think Renardo Green's my favorite of the bunch.
Yeah, he seems to be super aggressive and
uh-huh.
They really, to me, people, a guy asked me, he's like, hey, I don't know all the names that and this and that. Just give me kind of like the Cliff Notes version, the shortened version of the Niner draft. And I'm like, well, they got two really good receivers. They got Pearsall, who's got great ball skills, should help out right away. And they got Cowing, who also has great ball skills. And one guy's got 4.4 speed. The other guy's got 4.3 speed. So they added two really good receivers. I think they added two really intriguing running backs as well. They added 4 offensive linemen, none of them blue chippers, but Pooney in the 3rd round being the highest, but 4 offensive lineman prospects, 1 gigantic nose guard, 1 linebacker, and 2 real dog type leaders in their secondary. I mean, Mustafa and Renardo Green are just, they missed those. They missed Jimmy Ward. They missed Manuel Mosley, but they missed not just their play. They missed the fact that those guys were dogs and they were great against the run and they were tough and they showed up to win. They're great competitors, really physical. And I think that's what they got here in Mustafa and Renardo Green. So I think you're right to like Renardo.
Yeah, he's definitely my favorite because he's so physical. And I think you hit the nail on the head is they're missing that physicality in the secondary. Jimmy Ward, man. You said it, dog. Like this guy was he was the enforcer. They called him the enforcer, the eraser, whatever you want to call him. Like he was that thumper. And Niners didn't really have that thumper. I love Gibson. I think he was great, but he just wasn't that like thumper. He wasn't gonna hit you in the mouth. And I think Renardo Green and Malik Mustafa, those two guys, and they're gonna hit you in the mouth and they're gonna make you bloody. And if they hit you in the mouth and you're not bloody, they're gonna keep hitting you until you are bloody. So I love those two picks. But yeah,
Renardo, what is still left to do in your mind? If you look at the Niners, here we are, early May. What is still left to do, or can they just roll it out in July? Or in your mind, do they need to make a couple more, additions of whatever note, of whatever, size or significance? You're looking at the roster. What do they need between now and camp?
I mean, between now and camp, I don't think you're going to get an elite offensive lineman, which I think everybody's been screaming, get an O lineman. They got Pooney, who I think they feel is going to be a solid contributing player for many years, and maybe not right away, but I just don't think right now there's anybody available that they're going to be able to get for the offensive line. I wouldn't mind them trying to get a veteran safety because I don't know where Hufanga is going to be when he comes back. I want him to be Talanoa Hufanga All Pro when he was in his second season, but I don't know if we're gonna get that Hufanga. And I know they've been trying to get, a veteran safety. I know Mustafa can be great. We just talked about him, but he's a rookie. You can't expect him to be just a all pro in his rookie season. So I think if anything, if they could get a veteran safety, but slim pickings at this point. If they don't make any moves by this time and training camp starts, I think they'll be fine. They still have probably one of the premier rosters in the NFL. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh my God, they need something big time. They're months removed from the Super Bowl. So I really don't think they need anything, but it would be a nice luxury to have a veteran safety.
Let's dig deeper on the safety, because do we know when Afanga is going to be back? He tore the ACL last year. What is your thinking? Is your thinking he's going to be back in time for camp, in time for the preseason, in time for week one? What week was it that he tore that ACL? That's almost a year-long rehab as well. Do you expect him back for week one?
I mean, it's a 9 to 12 month recovery. I can't remember, when did he. If anybody in the chat knows exactly, it's been a minute. I've kind of forgot. But my expectation is he'll be ready for week one. He may not be ready for training camp. They might start him on the PUP list. We'll probably see him at camp, off to the side, rehabbing and stuff like that. But I believe he'll be back by week one. That's my guess on it. But I mean, again, that's why the 49ers have been so reluctant to figure out to get a safety, because they kind of probably feel he could be ready by week one and he's their starter. But then if he's not, you don't want to pay, a big time money on safety. Like Julian Blackman, that was the guy that they were going to get, right? And they couldn't guarantee he was going to be a starter. So it's been this weird position. So now they wanted to get a veteran, that doesn't necessarily need to start, but if he has to, he can, be a starter.
I'm going to throw the names at you. You tell me who you like of this group. This is the group that supposedly is out there and available. Eddie Jackson, the former Bear, who's probably 30 or something like at this point. Pretty good veteran safety. Quandre Diggs, Seattle. Jamal Adams, kind of a quasi weak side linebacker, blitzer, safety blitzer kind of guy. He's more of a safety pass rusher. Justin Simmons. Simmons, Jamal Adams, Quandre Diggs, Eddie Jackson.
Okay, so
what do you want out of that group?
I'll answer it. The chat says against the Buccaneers. That's when Hufanga tore his ACL. It was against the Buccaneers game. So mid-season, he should technically be okay to come back by week one as long as rehab goes well. But you never know. You don't know. Based on those guys, if I had the choice, I'd take Justin Simmons. But again, with the 49ers situation, and they can't guarantee a starting spot, I mean, Simmons would probably want to come in and start. I think Quandre Diggs probably makes the most sense because he doesn't have to start. But if he did start, oh man, that guy is fantastic because he could play. His coverage skills are pretty good. I mean, Jamal Adams, again, tweener. He's more of that blitz pickup guy. You use him as a fringe player where he can come in and blitz, or like a gimmick type player. I don't think you're going to use him to start a lot of games because his coverage is horrible. So I think realistically it makes sense to go get Quandre Diggs. I think the best guy out of the bunch would be Justin Simmons.
Yeah, I would probably agree with you. Eddie Jackson might be the guy that's the easiest to plug in because he's played a lot of ball. I don't know what they're going to do. Excuse me. They may want to be super aggressive looking at the cut down to see the way other teams cut down, their safeties, because there's probably a number of guys that they looked at before the draft that, maybe they didn't get as undrafted free agents, and maybe at the cut down teams are trying to slide those guys through waivers and they grab somebody they really liked. We'll see. But you look at that position on paper. You've got Hufanga coming off the knee. Jair Brown, I really like him, but I think he's better, at strong safety, to be honest. Then you got Mustafa, who I really, really like. But I mean, that's really it. You're kind of asking him to be the starting free safety. They drafted Jalen, or they signed Jalen, is it Mulroney from Vanderbilt? He's kind of intriguing. And then, of course, they have Eric Harris and Taylor Hawkins and George Odom as a special teamer, but they're pretty thin. I mean, they don't have a lot of experience there, and they may be going into camp, if they don't make an addition, kind of asking Malik Mustafa or maybe even Renardo Green to play free safety, which is a tall ask for a rookie in his first year. There was an article on Niners Nation about, guys, 4 or 5 guys the Niners should sign before week one. And those DBs, I just threw out, those 4 DBs were all thrown out as potential guys. They also threw out a couple offensive linemen, Dalton Risner and Gary Van Roten from Roten or whatever from the Raiders. What do you think? I mean, were you surprised that the Niners didn't go offensive tackle? They obviously, at least they're saying to everybody, hey, we like Colton. We like obviously Trent Williams, but we like Jalen Moore. We didn't feel like we needed to upgrade there. Other people seem to be screaming about it. What do you think? Are the Niners right or are the fans right? Do the Niners, are they set at tackle or is it a major problem spot?
I mean, it's still a big issue. I mean, I think both are right. The Niners know their team. I mean, they got to the Super Bowl with this offensive line. So I feel like they know what they have. They can be comfortable with this offensive line. Was it good enough to win it all? No. But it was good enough to get to the Super Bowl. Now, Colton, I'm not sitting here saying he's great, but it was his first year as a starter. He should improve. He should get better, right? If you're playing the game, you naturally should get better. And I think in their terms of their evaluation of players, they didn't see anybody that was better than Colton McKivitz right away. Like that was basically what they told us. They said, "Hey, there's some good players out there, but we didn't value them higher than Colton McKivitz. If they would have drafted a tackle, I don't think they would have started right away, and then it would have pissed us off even more as fans." So they said, "Hey, we're gonna address this next year." I feel it is still an issue though, because I mean, Jalen Moore, if he has to come in, Trent Williams will probably miss a game or two. It just happens every year. He is getting a little older, so I don't like Jalen Moore being that swing tackle, but I mean, it is what it is. I feel like when Trent Williams retires, we're going to have a big problem on our hands because then we're going to be soul searching who's going to replace such a guy like Trent Williams. So I think myself, and I feel like a lot of fan sentiment, is they should have addressed it now. Get a guy that you can really put in the work, develop them. So when Trent's gone, you have the heir apparent, but maybe they just didn't find anybody that was good enough. So I feel like offensive line will be something we're worrying about for the next couple of years.
Spencer Waege is no longer.
Mm.
Very
Good boy.
disappointed. That
I
was my
know.
guy. It was one of my favorite guys. I had him on the show. He, grew up on a dairy farm in South Dakota and went to North Dakota State and, played with Trey Lance. Niners gave him a shot as an undrafted free agent. They waived him today and he wound up with the Green Bay Packers. And I really like the guy, and I think he's got a lot of potential. He's got an unbelievable motor. He's smart. He plays really hard. He's about 295, and he's getting stronger and quicker. I think he's got an NFL future, but he's got to figure out a way to play the game on his feet. We were talking before the show. That's really the difference between being great and being, not great is can you keep your feet in the midst of the traffic inside on offensive as an offensive or defensive lineman. And if you can't, it's hard to make that impact. And to me, that was his issue more than anything, that he just has struggled to stay on his feet in the middle of the defense. And I think he's going to play some good football at some point. I wish him well. He's a good dude.
Yeah, I think he was a good talent. I liked his, prospects. I feel like he had potential, but you're right. With this team, defensive line is a specialty, and they're pretty stacked at defensive line. He did get signed by the Packers, so kudos to him. Congrats to him. I hope he can make it and crack their roster. Good player, Maybe that's where he needs to be. Like you said, Midwest boy. Maybe that's the place he needs to be. I think he was good, but you're right. Like he was still young. He was undrafted, so it wasn't like he was this all world talent, but he had talent. I hope he lands on his feet and does well, just not against the Niners when we play them next season. But yeah, I think he had some talent, and I knew that was your boy. I think that was the first thing before we hopped on
Yeah,
stream. I was like, "Yo, your boy Larry, Spencer Waege, what's good?" Because you
I know
hyped
he's
him up a
I
lot
really
last
liked
year. I
him.
remember.
I really
Yeah.
liked him, and then I still do like him. He's a great kid, but he's a developmental prospect, and he needs to be able to play the game on his feet, and it's easier said than done. And it's like you don't get forever as an undrafted free agent to make an impact. They signed him. He was in camp. They liked some traits about him. He didn't make the team. They put him on the practice squad. They cut him once. They brought him back. It's just life on the edges in the NFL. This year, the guy who's going to get that opportunity is Evan Anderson, and he looks really, really strong, and we'll see. I mean, it's just it's we got maybe if you look at that interior spot, okay, you got Hargrave. I would imagine Malik Collins starts next to Hargrave,
Mhm.
but then you got Kalia Davis. You have Kevin Givens. You signed Jordan Elliott.
Jordan
You know,
Elliott,
you,
yeah.
you've got a few other guys in there. So it's going to be interesting to see. There was kind of a how many, you're only going to keep so many defensive tackles. And when they got rid of Armstead and added two guys, that kind of hurt Wage's chances because it just gave them one more body of veteran quality depth. And he's the odd man out. So we'll see how he does in Green Bay.
Yeah.
Um, Dre Greenlaw sat down with Matt Mayoko and said he doesn't know if he's going to be gone for 2 games, 3 games, 4 games, 5 games, 6 games, 10 games. Um,
You don't
and
know.
and when he comes back, he's just going to play like Dre Greenlaw, like reckless abandon. But the question is, when's he going to come back? And then will he be diminished when he does come back? Because it is a significant injury.
Hmm.
He does fly around with reckless abandon. If you think about the Achilles too, I mean, think about the job of a linebacker
Hmm.
at the snap. You forcefully shoot back and backpedal. Then you have to plant your foot and drive forward to wherever and vault yourself forward, and it just puts so much pressure on the Achilles. um, I'm eager to see him come back, but at the same time, part of me says, you know what, Trey, take as much time as you
Hmm.
need. Take
Yeah.
it. Take 10 weeks. Take as much your career. And you know what? There's other guys here. There's D. Winters. There's Jalen Graham. They just brought in Tatum Bethune. There'll be all kinds of guys cut at the deadline. There's the Niners are going to be just fine. Nobody's going to be Dre Greenlaw, but you know what I'm saying? They're going to be just fine. When they really need him would be at the end of the year when they're making the run for the Super Bowl. So if I were them, I'd take a very conservative approach. When do you think he'll be back?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think you're right. I think they need to play it safe. Don't rush it. I know he wants to go out there. He was very emotional today. I was watching that with Mayoko on 49ers talk. And, he wants to play. He's just a physical, he's hungry when he's out there. He plays so violent. And I think that's going to really dictate how he is coming back because he says he won't be back until he knows his body is not giving up on it. Like he has to trust his body, and when his body feels at the point where he can play where he needs to play because he's just so explosive. He runs sideline to sideline, and I feel like if they bring him back too early, he can re-injure himself, and then he's gonna be gone for a long time. And he has to play it safe because this is a contract year for Dre Greenlaw. Remember, he had a 2-year extension. This is the last year of it. He needs to understand that hey, I got money on the line. At the same time, my career on the line. He's not going to get an extension if he rushes it. So I know John Lynch mentioned a couple weeks ago that they expect Greenlaw probably to open up on the PUP list. Now I know Greenlaw he doesn't want to, but at the same time, I think that's the smart thing. I think he'll miss at least a month, 4 to 6 weeks. I think is I feel like he'll be out of the loop for the first month or so, month and a half, and then maybe he'll start to like ramp himself back. The blessing for the 49ers, I know none of these guys are the same as Dre Greenlaw, but they did get Campbell, like you said, so many good linebackers that they've added. Last year they drafted two, they got one this year, and they have Johnny Holland, the best linebacker coach in the NFL. So if there's one position that we could afford a little bit of a hit, it is linebacker. Although I feel like losing Dre Greenlaw in the Super Bowl was the straw that broke the camel's back. Like
Yeah.
that was the momentum killer. But I don't want him to rush him. And I agree with what you said, Larry. If he could come back mid-season and then get himself ready and be like 100% Dre Greenlaw by the playoffs, then that's great because it's a long season. So I'm okay if he misses the first month or two. I don't want him to come back too early. He messes up his leg, then he's screwed. So take your time, Dre. Take your time.
Raj, what? So I was talking to Kev, and Kev said, "Hey, we got like 1.8 million views on our IG video of Ricky Pearsall.
Mm.
It just blew up. I'm just kind of wondering for you, as Mr. the Czar of our RSF 49ers, what has been the biggest content blow up for you in the last, let's say, the last couple of weeks?
Oh
What have you
man,
put out that is just absolutely dominated, where you're
well,
like, wow, this is an amazing amount of reaction for this?
Well, congrats on that. That's a pretty big video. That's pretty damn big. I know we've collabed on a few that have went pretty big, me and you. I think the biggest one over the last 2 months, it hasn't been a lot going on, but the draft basically always gives us good content. It's honestly Ricky Pearsall um, reaction video. I think that video went crazy. Like the video where he just went crazy when he got drafted. That video was pretty big, and let's take a look. Let me see what else got pretty good traction. Um, let's see. Oh, Ricky Pearsall recently training with. So before the draft, he was training with
Jacob
Tyreek
Cowan.
Hill. No, he was training with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle in Miami before the draft. So that video was pretty big. I mean, there was a lot, but those were probably the two biggest of them all.
The
Um,
players seem to be, really excited about Ricky Pearsall,
they like him. Yeah,
which
I
is a
like
good
him.
thing. What I liked is that Eric DeCosta, the GM of the Ravens, had him as his sleeper guy.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't know. I don't know if he, I don't think these guys, there's no reason to lie after the draft. You're not getting him anyway. But I thought that was interesting that he said it was a very good pick because he's one of the hottest GMs in the game right now. I mean, the Ravens do a phenomenal job every
yeah.
year in the draft. Who is the rookie that you're most eager to see? Or is there
Um,
one is there one that you think is going to make the biggest impact this year?
on the Niners.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ah, man, that's a good question. Honestly, I probably think it's going to be Ricky Pearsall. I feel like he's going to have a good impact. As much as I think, again, my favorite was Renardo Green. I could see him being the slot starter, nickel cornerback. So I feel like he might be up there, but I really think Pearsall is going to have a fantastic rookie season. I think the offense for the 49ers is going to be just so electric. They were the number one explosive team on offense last year. You just added Cowing and Pearsall, and you have Jennings and Debo and IU. And it's going to be amazing. And Kittle, and CMC, I still think they're going to find ways to get the ball to Ricky Pearsall. And then Debo does miss a few games here and there, and during those games, I really expect Pearsall to take that Debo role and have some big games. So I still think Ricky Pearsall is going to have the biggest impact on the 49ers in terms of rookies. Now another guy that I feel might be sneaky good this year that not a lot of people are talking about, who
Who do you got?
maybe I think it's gonna be Isaac Guerendo. I feel like this season he's gonna take a pretty good role on this offense because I don't think Elijah Mitchell's gonna be on this team when it's all said and done. When the 53-man roster comes out, I don't think Elijah Mitchell's gonna be on the team, and I think Isaac Guerrero is gonna
Wow.
have a big role. I said it.
Wow. So you think
Yeah.
Guerendo in and you think they're going to trade Mitchell or cut him?
I think they're gonna want to try to trade him, but I don't know if they can get value. If you can get a sixth or seventh
Well,
pick
I
for
mean,
him,
heck, if the
that's great.
Rams could get a trade swap today for Ben Skoranek, I would
Yeah.
imagine the Niners should be able to get something for Elijah Mitchell.
But
Seems
I
like he's
mean,
better.
problem is a lot of injuries, so it's how much value does he have? But if the 49ers could get a sixth or seventh out of Mitchell, that's a dub. He was a 6 round pick himself, so it's fine. And the reason, and it's not that I hate Mitchell, but he can't stay healthy. And if this man Isaac Guerendo comes into training camp and he can show that he can block and he can show that he has the basics of this offense down, his 4.3 speed is going to be so electric. I think Kyle's like, okay, we can put him in the offense. And I love Jordan Mason, but ball security has been an issue for him. Isaac Guerrero has a big opportunity to really show himself on this roster. Now, again, Kyle does take running backs every year, and they don't pan out. So it could be one of those running backs that just doesn't. But I have a good feeling about this guy. I saw his interview today, and I liked his vibe. He was very well spoken with the media today, and I don't know. I feel like Kyle saw this guy. He's like, holy crap, I need his speed. So I don't know. I'm excited for this young man. And he wasn't a third round running back, which is normally the
That's
case.
right. That's the
Yeah.
curse, is the third round running
Curse,
back.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let's see if we share the screen here. Well, maybe we can show a couple of these interviews real quick. Just a couple highlights from this up here. This is Malik Mustafa. So let's hear from Mustafa.
Understand who you are as a person, your identity.
Hold on. See if we can get this back. There we go. Wait.
What you were thinking there?
Yeah, it was all about, proving myself right and, not worrying about proving other people wrong. You gotta, understand who you are as a person, your identity, your purpose, your journey. You get caught up in the noise, the social media era that we're in, get caught up in what other people are doing. You kind of get lost in your own path. And I think the main thing for me was just to stay on course for me, worry about myself, honing on my craft, and how am I gonna be the best Malik Mustafa I can be.
Mm.
Very smart guy. Wake Forest kid, Demon Deacons. They always produce a lot of smart players.
They sure do, man. He's got a
And
good
you
head
can
on
tell
his.
that guy's super smart. He's got his, he's wired right. That was a nice pick.
Yeah.
Getting Mustafa. I think Mustafa. The question is, can Mustafa play free safety?
I don't know.
I
Good.
don't know if he can play free safety. Here's Guerendo. Tell me what you think of Guerendo here.
Yeah.
Big Isaac Guerendo. Let's see. Push this back. There we go.
How many games did you start in college?
Started one.
How do you explain that? Like, is that kind of what you're talking about there?
Yeah, I think it's a similar thing, but I've played with a lot of great backs, been in a lot of great rooms. So I mean, I think that's it itself. But I think at the same time, going to this level, making this transition, I think it's something that helps me because a lot of these guys have been the feature guy. Pretty much since they were young, they were, the guy at their high schools and they were the guy at their colleges. But I think for me, it's it kind of gives me a leg up in the sense that what are these guys going to do when they aren't the starter? How are they going to handle that? How are they going to move forward with that? And given the fact that I've already been through it like plenty of times, like obviously it's not going to change my mindset. I'm going to continue to work hard with whatever it is, but just continuing to embrace that role.
Did it ever bother you that you weren't a starter?
Obviously it's frustrating, you want to contribute and play as much as possible, but
I loved it.
I think if I were to let it bother me, it probably wouldn't allow me to be ready for those moments when I did get them. So, I just continue to have that patient mindset so that I could be ready for those moments.
Did that bother you? Are you kidding me? I mean, I was just chilling. I didn't have to take all those hits. I mean, it was better. I mean, I love not playing and I've mastered it. That's why I'm going to be good here because I'm not going to play here either. And I'm going to be comfortable not doing it. And those guys, I don't know. I like Guerendo's size and speed, and I see the potential that everybody else sees. I do think it's interesting that McLuhan's like, he's not going to make the roster. Is he going to be a return guy? Is he going to be a receiver? He was a receiver in high school. He's built like a fullback. But he's a running back. He's got running back speed. I don't know. It's going to be really intriguing. How do you see Shanahan using Guerendo?
Yeah, he definitely is an intriguing player. He can catch. He can play the fullback. It really depends on how his blocking is, and he is fast. This guy is a weapon. And you know what? Honestly, I think initially he might be a return man, and Kyle kind of tries to gain his trust because they did lose Ray McLeod. There is a new return rule this year, so I feel like the 49ers have a couple guys that initially they might earn their trust by becoming a return man, and then Kyle can see, okay, I can implement him like this into the roster. But again, I think eventually when the dust settles, he will be a guy that Kyle's gonna absolutely utilize in this roster and throw him on those quick tosses and throw him on those counter plays. And okay, CMC, he might be taking a break here and there. You're going to want that speed to kind of keep going and run down people's throats. Niners run the ball. So I think eventually he's going to be a nice little weapon for the 49ers. But, he knows he's got to have to take his time. He's got a chip on his shoulder. And I like that about him is he knows, hey, I'm not coming in here to be the starter. There's a lot of guys ahead of me but he's been in that role before. And I think now you're right. He's got fresh legs. He didn't take those hits in college, and now he's ready to go. Hey, look, Kyle, I'm here for you. Let me show you what I can do. So I'm intrigued. I'm excited. I think eventually he'll be a nice little weapon for Kyle, but they're going to be able to utilize him in a lot of ways because that's why Kyle got him. He wants a guy that's versatile. Kyle loves versatility. The more you can do, the better in Kyle's eyes.
Wow, it's going to be fun to see how he's utilized as well as Cody Schrader. One more I want to show. This is Kingston. Let me hear a little Jarrett Kingston. This is the USC 6th rounder, Jarrett Kingston.
I know you said you're a 49ers fan growing up, but in your community, has there been a lot of excitement?
Oh yeah, I have a bunch of pretty much all my high school buddies are all 49ers fans, so it was cool like getting that rolling with them too, like because they're huge 49ers fans. So, and now I'm a huge 49er fan. So, so yeah.
What's your take on the draft?
So my whole family's from LA, so I kind of wasn't forced to be a Rams fan. Like I kind of grew up being a Rams fan, and then I was also a USC fan growing up. And I was followed Clay Matthews his whole college career, and then followed him to the Packers. So I'm also a Packers fan. So
there you go. Who are you a fan of? I'm not sure how he's going to fare, but you know what? The odds are that they have 4 new offensive linemen. The odds are a couple of those guys that they got are going to stick, and probably Pooney, I would guess, would be one. And then between Nugent and Mays and Kingston, probably at least one of those guys will stick. And that will give them a deeper, more talented interior offensive line. I know there are a lot of people that say, oh, they didn't do anything for the offensive line. That's not true. They added 4 players, and I think all 4 players are good prospects. Now it's just a matter of which one or 2 or 3 or maybe all 4 make the roster.
Yeah, I mean, you got to also remember a lot of these guys might be drafted for the future. They might make the practice squad. They'll keep them around, develop them. Because again, next year, we've talked about this. Jake Brendel, 32. Will he be on the roster still? Feliciano, 32. He said it might be his last year. Trent Williams, he's 36. Time is ticking on him. So that's 3 guys that might not be here next year. And then you have Aaron Banks, who's a free agent. Are they going to be able to pony up and pay him? You got Brock Purdy that needs to get paid next year. So I don't know. They might have drafted all these guys to be the future starting O-line. We'll see how it goes. But they definitely have some depth that they can develop and see how it goes.
One more question, then we'll jump to some supers, and then we'll jet. I thought all the teams in the division, the Rams, the Cardinals, the Seahawks, I thought they all had really good drafts. I also thought Detroit had a nice draft. I thought Green Bay, added some nice pieces. Give me 2 names. Give me the team that you think is the Niners' number 1 competitor inside the division, and give me the team that you think is their number 1 competitor inside the conference.
Oh man, that's tough. Inside the division, the NFC West, the NFC West dominated this draft. They all did good, but I think right now,
who do you fear the most here? I mean, the Rams have Stafford, and Puka and Kupp, and they just added Blake Corum, but man, the Cardinals have Kyler, and they just added Marvin Harrison and all kinds of talent on their side, and Max Melton, and they're seems like Monty Ossenfort's got it going, and then John Schneider got Byron Murphy, and he added a lot. I mean, it seems like Seattle's maybe the best run of the group. What do you think? Who do you fear the most in the division going forward?
Yeah, no, all of them did good. I think it's going to be a battle in the NFC West, but if I had to pick one team, I wouldn't say I fear them because the Niners typically own them, but they did have a good draft, like you said. I think the Rams, man, they really put together a strong draft. They got 2 outstanding
Jared Verse, Braden Fisk.
Verse and Fisk, 2 outstanding defensive linemen. I mean, they lost to Aaron Donald. That's huge. So they had to retool that D line, but they got 2 really good guys. And, if you're gonna lose a stud like Aaron Donald, you need to get 2 big time guys, and I think they did it. And then the Blake Corum was fantastic signing. Puka year 2. I mean, he was fantastic year 1. What can he do this year? Cooper Kupp will probably be healthy this year. I think the Rams and the Niners will be the top 2 teams in the NFC West when the dust settles. I mean, Seattle will definitely be up there battling. I think the Cardinals are still a year or 2 away from making noise. They'll be improved this year, but they got a new head coach, and it's still a lot of things taking shape. But if I had to pick one team in the NFC West that I feel like is going to battle us the hardest, it's going to be the Rams. They're tired of being kicked down by us, so I think it's going to be the same old sorry ass Rams. In the NFC in general, that's tough, man, because I feel like the Packers are only going to get better. They were so young last year, and Jordan Love, man, he was fantastic. But then at the same time, the Detroit Lions, man, they took us to the brink. They were ready to go to the Super Bowl. We had one of the greatest comebacks on them. I think the Lions, their draft was out of this world. Packers had a good draft too, but I think the Lions, man, are just on a collision course with the Niners this season, and I think that is the one team that we have to really, worry about in the NFC. Out of everybody, I think the Lions are the team to
Yeah, I would
that has a
agree.
target
I
on
would
us.
agree.
Yeah.
I might go Seahawks in the division because I just fear John Schneider. I think he does a great job of building.
Okay.
They always seem like they've got a lot of talent, but I would definitely go Lions. I would definitely go Lions in the conference. They're also they've got a great combination. They got all kinds of good young players. All right, 3 supers, and then we'll jet. If Raj can do the honors here. This is from Niners_throwback.
All right. He said, my boy, Niners throwback. He's on everybody's stream. Shout out to my boy. He's always hopping on these streams. So he says, John Lynch is a top 10 GM, in my opinion. The Brock Purdy and Jordan Love QB debate just doesn't end. Oh, it's going to be a fun QB rival for years to come. I don't know if you saw the banter on Twitter, but there was some Pro Football Network posted that John Lynch wasn't even in the top 10 of GMs, which is crazy. And now there's like, the last couple of days, it's been like Jordan Love is better than Brock Purdy. No, Brock Purdy. Like Twitter's going crazy. NFL Twitter's going between. It's gonna be
Well, I saw
battle.
CBS Sports Line. CBS did the quarterback rankings. They had Mahomes 1, Purdy 2.
Yeah.
Now, I kind of retweeted that and said, "Hey, look, I'd have mine Mahomes 1, Burrow 2, Allen 3, Jackson 4, Purdy 5." But then I had Purdy in front of CJ Stroud, in front of Stafford, in front of Love, in front of Rodgers, in front of everybody else. I had Herbert. Somebody said, "Well, why do you not have Dak Prescott in the top 10?" I don't think Dak Prescott's a top 10 guy. I know he, was the All-Pro quarterback last year, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's because the Niners own them. Maybe it's because every time he plays against the Niners, he throws 2-3 picks.
Yeah.
He just to me, he puts up fat stats. But who are you putting him in front of? Is he better than Jordan Love? No. Is he better than Justin Herbert? No. Is he better than Lamar or Stroud or Burrow? No. So anyway, I have Purdy not 2, but definitely in Mahomes, then Allen, then Burrow, then Allen, then Jackson, then Purdy.
I got Stroud over Purdy. I love Purdy. I don't think he's top 2. He's on that top 10 list for sure. But I got CJ Stroud. I love Brock Purdy, but I gotta put CJ Stroud above Brock Purdy. CJ Stroud is a dog, man. We want to talk
But he
about
only
dogs.
did it for 1 year. That's my only thing with him.
CJ Stroud's a dog, man. That's all.
Yeah, he's good. He's good. There's no
I
question.
mean, nobody had a rookie season like that before, Larry. That's all I'm
Yeah. But Purdy's been now to the Super Bowl twice, or been to the Super Bowl and been in the NFC Championship game twice.
He's amazing. I love Brock.
That's pretty. I don't know that anybody's doing that either. Okay, we got another one here.
We will be able to see if P-Line belongs pretty quickly. That's right. The man from Furman, the tight end. What do you think about him? I know you were pretty stoked when
I
we
like
got
him. I like him a lot. I think he's tight. I think he's going to be tight end too, unless they go out and sign somebody else, or Cam Latu just absolutely looks worlds better. I like Mason Pline. I mean, I think he's smart. I know he's smart. He's got huge hands. He's really athletic. There's going to be some, there's going to have to be some coaching and some development there, but I think he's a phenomenal prospect, especially on paper. We'll see what it looks like on the field.
That'd be a great story, Larry, if the undrafted tight end becomes tight end too. With all the players, we drafted 2 tight ends last year. That'd be fantastic.
I know, but I mean, who is he? I think he's every bit as talented as those guys. We'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see.
We'll see.
We got one more here.
We got my man Blood Moon says Nick Zakel must have untapped potential. I don't know why else we're holding on to this guy. Bell is JJ's replacement. Gray Mitchell will be the surprise cut. So book it. Yeah, Nick Zakel. He's I think because he's Brock Purdy's roommate, he's got some pull on the team. I don't know.
Well, you always get a couple years usually to, if you're a practice squad offensive lineman, to develop. But you're right. It's go time for there's about 6 different guys from that 22 draft class: Drake Jackson, Samuel Womack, Spencer Burford, Nick Sikel, several. I mean, Drake Jackson, Danny Gray, who's going to step up from that 2022 class and produce. To date, that's been a hugely disappointing class, but there's always potential for a lot of those guys to turn it around. And I think a couple of them will. I'm just not sure which ones. So Raj, tomorrow I'll be putting my eyes on practice. If I could film certain players for you, who would you want to see film of tomorrow?
I mean, I know everybody's going to be filming Ricky Pearsall, so I need you to get me some Renardo Green. I need you to get me some Malik Mustafa. Go get some Cody Schrader film out there. Go put some Schrader tape out there.
I may even bust out a little Tanner Mordecai for you.
Ooh, okay, I like it. And get my boy Paline, the tight end we just talked about. You need to get this is the thing. To go big, get the people that nobody has the eyes on, because you're only going to be the one providing it. Because if everybody's posting Ricky Pearsall, everybody's going to post Ricky Pearsall, your contact's going to get lost in the shuffle. So go get the people that aren't getting the hype, and you're going to get blown up everywhere.
Look at that. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take Raj's advice.
There you go.
All right, that's going to do it for us. Thanks to Raj. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krueger Show. Thanks to Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're at 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, down there in the Monterey Peninsula. Give Anthony Catania a call. He's at 831-521-5264. Thanks to Underdog Fantasy as well for being a proud sponsor of the Krueger Show. And click that link in the description and use that promo code Krug, Krueg, and they will match you up to your first $100.
Nice.
Raj, have a great night. I got to get to bed because I got a big day tomorrow. Going down to Santa Clara and going to watch minicamp. I'm really excited, and I will report back on everything that I see, and we'll have more to chop up next week.
Nice. What time does it start tomorrow? What time are you got to be there?
That's a good question. I believe it's maybe 11:30, something like that for Nick Sorensen. That was the other thing I was going to ask you. If you could ask Nick Sorensen one question, what would you want to ask Nick Sorensen?
Ask him what is the influence Brandon Staley's going to have on that defense, because they're co-defense court. Like, how much he's the DC, so like, how much authority does he have compared to Brandon Staley? I mean, I want to know what the divisions of rule they have. I don't know.
I might ask him about just like the depth chart. If that's something that, when you're the defensive coordinator, can you change the depth chart? Has anything changed on the depth chart among the starters? And because like to me, the guy that has to play for Greenlaw is Jalen Graham.
Mm-hmm.
But Steve Wilkes didn't play him last year. And when I asked him Wilkes about him, he's like, well, he played a hybrid safety linebacker role, as to suggest he was too raw to play. But I thought he looked awesome in the preseason. So I want to see Jalen Graham on the field if there's no Dre Greenlaw this year. Okay. So we'll see what he has to say about that.
So it's Sorensen meets first at 11:30, and then they have practice?
Sorensen, then practice. I think practice at 1 something.
Okay, I got to know so I can plan my day. I got to work. I got to plan around it. So
look at you. Right. Strategic. Do not miss content.
I can't. I got to, if I'm with a patient during content time, I'm sick. So I got to get all my patients done first, and then do paperwork when it's content time.
Duck out and just I'll be back in a minute.
No, they know now.
Relax. Think of Aztec temples. Close your eyes.
No, they know. They're like, it's paperwork time. Leave them alone. I'm grinding on the phone.
It's paperwork time.
Yeah, they know.
You're chasing that paper. That's what it is. You're chasing that paper.
Yeah.
All right, that does it for us. Thanks to our sponsors. Thanks to Raj. Thanks to all of you. Peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful.